said to have gotten all my electronic records, and that was not lawful. I did not consent to 7 years worth of my emails being given to her. You sent her a certified letter the morning of a hearing, and you asked her to give those potentially illegally obtained records. Hi, I'm James O'Keefe. I'm with Project Veritas. Today I'm in Concord, New Hampshire, and I'm going to confront Assistant Deputy Attorney General Richard Head in Concord, New Hampshire, outside the Department of Justice here in the state. I'm going to ask him if he ever responded to my FOIA request to him a year ago, where I asked him for all communications between him and Eric Holder. We know that the Department of Justice has been spying on the Associated Press. What you may not know is that the Attorney General's office here in New Hampshire tried to indict myself and my colleagues last year for exposing voter fraud. I'm also going to give him a copy of my book called Breakthrough. There's a chapter in it called The Rise of Richard Head. It talks about how Mr. Richard Head sent a letter to a young woman in New Jersey asking for all of my illegally obtained emails. I'm going to ask him why he did that. And we're going to give him a book and see what he says. Hello, how are you? Hi, my name is James O'Keefe, and I'm with Project Veritas, and I'm here to see Assistant Deputy Attorney Richard Head today. He is not expecting us, but I'd like to get a comment on a story that we're releasing next week. There's a new book coming out. It's called Breakthrough. There's an entire chapter about Mr. Head in it, and it talks about some of the injustices committed against members of my citizen journalism team over the last year. So if there's just, if he has a minute to come out, I'm not going to ambush him. I'm just going to ask him a few simple questions. Thank you. Here's a copy of the FOIA request that we sent to the Department of Justice here. They never responded. It was sent a year ago. It outlines the fact that we asked for all communications between the Federal Department of Justice and the State Department of Justice. And here's the letter that was in fact sent from Mr. Richard Head to one Nadia Naif, asking for my emails, 7 years worth of my emails that I never consented to being released to anyone. So we have a lot of questions here today about why this man in the New Hampshire Department of Justice has spent months of time in your taxpayer dollars trying to harass and intimidate citizen journalists for exposing the truth. What it's like to speak truth to power and take on fraud. Oh.
I'm not photogenic, so.
Did you hear about our voter fraud expose last year, showing ballots being offered out to dead people in the state? No. They changed the law. They made voter ID in the state after the video. True. Yeah, this book is, I'll just read a little bit of it for you, or we're waiting, the New Hampshire Attorney General's office did not give up easily. I was scheduled to speak here. When I filed my travel documents, I told him I was going to stay in Hollis, New Hampshire with a fellow named Mike Rogers. And Rogers, still in his bathrobe, found New Hampshire official Murdoch at the door with a local policeman, a large briefcase with what we were guessing was a subpoena for me. So, although he was at pains to suggest I was not in jeopardy, Murdoch came with a criminal grand jury subpoena to serve me. As he did at the Coolidge's house, he placed a dossier on the counter with a photo sticking out. The photo was one of Skip Murphy, a local activist. "I know all about you. I read your stuff. I watch your speeches," the official told Rogers. And who could only surmise that they were researching any local activist with any association to me. So it's a pretty incredible story, having state officials sort of fishing around, talking to activists, trying to indict me here in the state of New Hampshire. So the fact that they would use an individual like Nadia and tried to get my emails from her kind of goes to show you the lengths, how desperate they were. They were so desperate they asked Nadia for the electronic records that she had claimed to have stolen from me. I do not make this charge lightly. A month after Nadia's brief stay at my office, where she began to accuse me of doing unspeakable things, electronic copies of some of my confidential documents and correspondence ended up in the hands of a Washington, D.C. reporter. So we really want to get to the bottom of how and why the Department of Justice here in New Hampshire, why were they working with this young woman with ties to Neil Rauhauser and people like Brett Kimberlin? Why was the Department of Justice working with an individual who had said to have all my emails? Why were they asking her for those emails? That's what we're really getting to the bottom of here. Mr. Head.
How are you?
I am James O'Keefe.
Welcome to New Hampshire.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you coming out. Would you just mind answering a few questions?
Not at all.
Can we do it in the lobby here?
Sure.
Great.
3 cameras. It takes 3.
So I wanted to tell you about my new book. It's called Breakthrough. Here's a copy of it. This is the copy of the book. It's coming out Tuesday. It's through Simon & Schuster's Threshold Editions. And in the book, I want you to open up to the dog-eared page on 200, and I believe it's 60 something. And
several dog-eared pages.
right here. There's a chapter all about you,
That's
Richard Head.
Okay.
And in fact, there's a letter that you sent to one Nadia Nate. You can keep that. That's your copy.
Actually, I can't. The book is worth more than $25. It appears to be a $26 book.
Okay, can you sign it for me though?
It would constitute a gift.
Any way you can sign it for me?
Probably not. I
Oh.
think I'll decline to sign it.
Okay, if you, I would have loved that. But also, just 2 questions I have to follow with you. There's a FOIA public records request that we sent to your office on May 8th, where we asked for all communications between you and Eric Holder's Justice Department, because recently it's been found out that the Department of Justice has been spying on the Associated Press. You sent a letter to Miss Nadia Nate, a young woman who had said to have gotten all my electronic records, and that was not lawful. I did not consent to 7 years worth of my emails being given to her. You sent her a certified letter the morning of a hearing, and you asked her to give those potentially illegally obtained records to your office. Why did you send this letter? And did you know that those records were illegally obtained?
I had received information she had the emails. I didn't have information as to how or why she had possession of them. At that time, we were in an investigation. Those emails may have been useful. And since she had possession of them, I made a request for them.
Okay. And does your office plan on responding to this public records request pursuant to New Hampshire Code 91A?
Actually, I thought I had a long time ago.
If you have, who did you send that to?
I remember the request with regard to, I'm trying to find where I remember.
All communications documents or
So
records.
this is the whole thing, is it?
It's right here. It's all communications records provided by the United States Department of Justice to your office received on or after January 1st, 2012.
You know, I'm trying to remember. I remember receiving a right-to-know request that had to do. Oh no, this is different. This is what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of somebody else's right-to-know request. I apologize. I actually don't remember having received this right-to-know request. I apologize.
And there was also an email, which we have in writing, sent to you from J. Christian Adams at Election Law Center, addressed to your email address.
Okay, I would have to look at my,
Okay.
you know, I get a lot of right-to-know requests.
I understand.
I'm not remembering it off the top of my head.
Okay, and do we have a time frame on when you might respond to this, given the fact that the Department
I'll take
of
a look.
Justice... Okay,
I
but
mean,
given the fact they're spying on reporters, we just want to kind of get some accountability here on what
I assume
exactly...
You're not referring to New Hampshire, you're talking to
We're
somebody
talking about the Department of Justice in the United States, Eric Holder's Department of Justice.
I'll take a look. I apologize. I just don't remember
Thank you.
offhand.
And-
If you don't mind.
Yeah,
Is this
you can take that, yeah.
Very good. If I can have this,
And,
it'll remind me.
and you know, last year, the New Hampshire Department of Justice sent some officials to the house of one of my colleagues, and basically, what amounted to a raid. They went into his house, they basically, the family felt terrorized based on what happened. Did you know about that? That they went into his house in the dead of night, and they showed pictures of, and they tried to indict them and indict me for our voter fraud work here in the state of New Hampshire, showing ballots being offered out in the names of the dead. Why did the state of New Hampshire use that recourse? Why did they try to indict me for doing investigative reporting?
So a slightly loaded question in terms of the way it was phrased. I would not describe the effort by the investigator to locate you during the course of an investigation regarding some work that you had done in the state of New Hampshire in the way that you characterized it. So taking that aside, I am aware that an investigator, in an effort to locate you, did talk to family members.
And was there a criminal grand jury subpoena present with that investigator when he went to Mike Rogers' house in May of 2012?
That I'm not commenting on in terms of anything relating to grand jury work.
A criminal grand jury subpoena that was present in the hands of Murdoch, the investigator who went to Mike Rogers' house in May of 2012. You don't know about that, or you have no comment?
I'm simply not commenting.
No comment, okay. Well, I appreciate that, and in any way, again, just a signature. We have a pen. Do we have a pen, Skip?
In terms of signing your book, I have not read your book, and I just assume not.
I just want your signature where it says the Richard Head Rises chapter.
Not having read your book and not knowing the content, I would respectfully decline.
And
to put my signature on it.
I can't mail one to you because that would violate the.
It would be a gift.
Okay.
I can't receive a gift.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate you answering questions. And one more, do you have any time frame on when you might respond to that FOIA request or that public?
Oh, I'll take a look at it now.
Okay.
I mean, I honestly just don't remember one way or the other what the response, how it was run, or if it's physically in my box. But I'll give you a response one way.
And this book is being released on Tuesday.
Just to make sure I know who, because this doesn't appear to be the whole letter.
We can re-forward it to your email address.
Could you? That'd be helpful.
That'd be great. This book comes out on Tuesday. We're going to go on about 70 radio stations. We've been booked for the O'Reilly Factor on Tuesday, so this is going to be a nationwide story, what has happened to our investigative reporters, not only with the Department of Justice here in New Hampshire, but with many different state agencies. So would appreciate it if you could respond to that FOIA request, and we'll be in touch.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Talk to you later.
Mr. Head, I do have one question.
What are you?
My name is Skip Murphy. I run GraniteRock.com.
Mr. Murphy, how are you?
I am doing well. I run GraniteRock.com here in New Hampshire. And as Mr. O'Keefe said, that one of your inspectors had gone to one of my writers' houses. And one of the things that happened was that a manila envelope fell open and a piece of paper came out with my picture on it. So my question is, what is my involvement as far as investigating? I mean, I have not had any contact whatsoever up to that point, other than chance meetings with Mr. O'Keefe when he had come to other political events. So I'm curious whether or not I am in any trouble because your investigator had a picture of me.
Truthfully, I don't know what specific incident you're describing, so I honestly don't have any particular comment about.
Well, that was the time that James O'Keefe just said when Inspector Murdoch went to look for James at Mike Rogers' house, and at the same time that piece of paper slipped out. My picture was on that, so I'm just curious whether or not I am under any kind of cloud that I should be concerned about.
I personally am unaware of any investigation of you at this time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for answering the question.
No problem.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your time, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right behind you.
Mr. Head refused to sign my book, and he refused to accept the book, but it will be out. I'm sure he'll read it. And he told us he was going to respond to our FOIA request. We'll be following up with him, and we'll be also letting you know what happens in terms of exactly why he was trying to indict our videographer, state of New Hampshire. You have to read the book. It's called Breakthrough. Learn all about the raid into the home of my colleague. Learn about the visit to Mike Rogers' house and why they had dossiers on all the bloggers here in New Hampshire. Learn all about this in Breakthrough. Pick it up. It's out Tuesday, June 18th. Learn about why powerful people in this state try to shut down and silence people who are just trying to do journalism. Thank you. All right, guys, let's go. Have you ever responded to my FOIA request a year ago, where I asked him for all communications between him and Eric Holder? We know that the Department of Justice has been spying on the Associated Press. What you may not know is that the Attorney General's office here in New Hampshire tried to indict myself and my colleagues last year for exposing voter fraud. I'm also going to give him a copy of my book called Breakthrough. There's a chapter in it called The Rise of Richard Head. It talks about how Mr. Richard Head sent a letter to a young woman in New Jersey, asking for all of my illegally obtained emails. I'm going to ask him why he did that. And we're going to give him a book and see what he says.